okay, here's the thing. The original Space Jam from the 90s, Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny, notable mainly for the fact that being a kind of post-Roger Rabbit live-action animation hybrid, it was able to do what it did. And back then, it was kind of, even if the film wasn't much good, although the film was successful, the film was apparently the most successful basketball movie of all time, which may be a small pond. It was like, oh, okay, the technical aspect of doing this is impressive. So now the reboot, Space Jam, A New Legacy, LeBron James is dragged into the Warner's serververse by Algae Rhythm, who is an algorithm played by Don Cheadle, and finds himself in the Warner's back catalogue. Here's a clip.
Oh yeah, Metropolis.
I can't wait to see what I turn into here. Oh, it's gonna be somebody dope. Robin? I'm freaking Robin?
And why are we chasing a runaway train?
We're in DC world, Doc. And where there's trouble, there's superheroes.
So, I mean, the plot, as such as it is that Warner's have pitched a Warner 3000 project to LeBron James, which will put him into movies. He says he doesn't want to do it. The algorithm, played by Don Cheadle, gets annoyed. His son is a video game designer who he wants to play basketball, but he's more interested in designing video games. They all end up in a version of the game that he has to win. Otherwise, everybody who's been sucked into it will stay in the serververse forever. That's sort of the plot. Now, here are the problems. The FX thing was a big pull in the first movie, and now it really isn't. We now expect animation and live action to be totally fluid and totally interchangeable. I mean, ever since Terminator 2 and, the fluid robot, I think everyone's just thought, well, we can see anything on screen and that's perfectly fine. So it has to be more than just special effects. Second thing is the film is populated with Warner brand products from Casablanca. There's a bit of Casablanca and Looney Tunes. The characters from Clockwork Orange and the Devils are in the crowd. Now, this had sort of piqued my interest because people said, "Oh, in the crowd at the game, there are droogs, and there is a nun. There is one of the nuns from the Devils, and there'd been a still on the thing, and then there was some discussion about whether it was digitally put in, and then I think the person who played the nun said, "No, I'm actually there." But this sounds more interesting than it is, because just having characters there as a kind of Easter egg thing isn't very interesting if you don't do anything interesting with them. I mean, the irony is, of course, Warner's have banned Ken Russell's cut of the Devils, the proper director's cut of the Devils, which we restored 20 years ago, something like that. We restored it and we played it at the BFI South Bank, and then Warner's have refused to release it. Warner's have never liked the Devils. So if they're going to go do something which is like, oh, let's go through the Warner back catalogue, look at all these brands that we own, well, fine. In that case, do something interesting like release the Devils, the director's cut. But just sticking one of the nuns sort of, in as a kind of joke, and some people said, oh, it's a sly joke about Warner Brothers and their back catalogue. Well, is it? Because it's just a cameo thing. I mean, the movie has a sort of dreamy quality, dreamy in as much as I found myself struggling to stay awake, having finally got in to see the wretched thing. I mean, I remember sitting in the Warner's vaults when I was doing the Exorcist documentary, surrounded by all the sound tapes from The Fear of God, and thinking, my word, there is so much here. This is like an Aladdin's cave of stuff. Yes, there is. And the sort of premise of the film is, oh, we've got the whole of the Warner back catalogue and, IPs to play with. What can we do? And the answer is, well, nothing. You go, okay, there's a bit of that, and there's a bit of that, and there's a bit of that, and there's a bit of that. And, So it's for a film which contains as much, in inverted commas, allegedly weird stuff as it does, it was dull as ditch water. I mean, really disappointingly dull.